All right. Great day, everyone, and welcome to another Rogue 420 interview. And I'm very excited. Thank you, everyone, for listening in so much. Now, today's guest is Bluebird Botanicals, and I have with me Kevin and Lex. Now, just to give you a little bit of background regarding Bluebird Botanicals, it was founded in 2012 by Brandon Beatty, whose Bluebird's vision has always been driven by the deepest respect for hemp plant and the plethora of benefits, in which I completely agree. Now, Kevin is the chief operating officer with the company. He joined Bluebird in 2016 and has a long tenure with Whole Foods in a variety of purchasing, financial analysis, and leadership roles. Lex is a science director. Lex likes to study the mechanisms of CBD. He also writes books about the endocannabinoid system, and he works at sustaining the structure function of Bluebird. So, Kevin and Lex, welcome to Rogue 420.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys on. And for our listeners, Bluebird, of the research that I've done in regards to hemp, I love everything that your company is doing from a perspective of the plant, from the perspective of education, and then also the advocacy that you guys are doing. And recently, here in recent news regarding the hemp farm bill that Mitch McConnell has submitted from Kentucky, you guys are doing a lot of advocacy with that. So why don't you share with our listeners the advocacy portion a little bit, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Things are looking really optimistic with hemp legislation right now. We've been lucky to partner with the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. It's a group of leaders in the hemp industry, and we're on the board of directors there. And we've been, working on lobbying efforts in pretty much every state, and then also on the federal level, and working with Mitch McConnell to draft that Hemp Farming Act. And we got great news yesterday that the Senate version of the Farm Bill passed, and it does have the Hemp Farming Act in it. So the next step is that goes to a House Senate conference to get consensus on the final language of the Farm Bill, which we're hoping is going to happen in about 90 days. And, Mitch McConnell is fully supportive of this. He wrote the bill. And so we're confident that he's going to make sure that's in the final language. And that'll mean, that hemp is finally given that official stamp of approval. This is federally legal, and it's going to be a huge moment for us. We're really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Go ahead.
And just Kevin's being a little modest. He knows a lot about what's going on. He's flying to DC. He's actually in the rooms with Senator McConnell and the other leaders making this. So it's
Awesome.
been really fun to watch from our vantage point and hear him doing these things.
That is terrific. And so in regards to the legislation, and it's when you look state by state and the growth that this industry has experienced the last several years, one thing that I'm excited about is not only the medicinal value, but also there's so many other applications for hemp, for this great plant. So let's talk a little bit around Bluebird Botanicals, a little about what your company does, a little bit of the bio. So I'll let you guys, either one of you want to jump into that. So share with us about Bluebird. Would you like our listeners to learn?
Yeah, so we got into this business at a really fortunate time. We started as a superfoods company. Brandon, the founder, has always been into, dietary supplements and essential oils and, alternative, supplements and medicines like that. And so right around, I think it was 2013, we started seeing more stories about CBD, Charlotte's Web. It was getting a lot of great press, and we were pretty much one of the only companies doing it other than Charlotte's Web. And, then there were a bunch of snake oil hustlers out there that were kind of giving the industry a bad name, selling, not great product, not great sourcing. So we just made it our mission to make the highest quality hemp extract products that are high in CBD. So we've just always put quality first. That means, extensively testing every single ingredient, every batch of product we make. And then to, help with some of those concerns about this new industry, we make all of our testing, all of those quality control materials, all those third-party C of A's. Those are all publicly available on our website. So customers can get a bottle of our hemp CBD oil, look at a batch number on it, and see a plethora of third-party lab tests for that product. So they know the exact cannabinoid content. And they also know that it doesn't have, we test for hundreds of contaminants. And so they know they're getting a clean product, and they know that they're getting a pure product.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I completely agree with. I don't like the fact that I go into like a few gas stations and I see the gas station attendant there speaking about the CBD products that they have on their front counter. It's like, okay, wait a minute here. So the reputation, and then obviously the research that you guys do, the science behind it is very important. It's very important, the educational part. So talk to me a little bit around the hemp that you source or that you grow, and just ensuring how does that quality control work from the time it goes through the processing to the consumer and then the testing.
The one really cool part is that all of the hemp is grown right here in Colorado with a team of farmers that we work with, and we really like that part of it, that it's the crop that grows really well right here. And so it goes through, we get it from them, and then it goes through extensive testing here as we make it into our different blends. But yeah, one of the best parts is how well the hemp does in Colorado, and it can do so good for people's health.
Yeah, and hemp can grow just about anywhere. It's really an amazing crop. It's great for the soil. It doesn't require any pesticides. If you try to put pesticides on it, it'll probably kill the hemp plant. But yeah, so we grow it out here in Colorado. Every batch of extract is extensively tested with third-party labs that are ISO certified. They run a huge purity panel, and that covers, pesticides, mycotoxins, bacteria, residual solvents, heavy metals. And so, anything that could pop up, we're testing for it to make sure that that stuff's clean. And then once we see that those tests are good, bring it into our lab and start manufacturing our hemp oil blends with it. And every batch that we make small batches, and we send those out again for testing to make sure that we hit our potency target, and that, that's also pure, a second purity check there. And then, we make the oil blends, we do capsules, we have isolates, vape blends, and all of that whole quality control process is documented every step of the way. We've done such a good job at it that we actually we were audited for compliance with the FDA's good manufacturing practices.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
passed with a 99% score. So
oh wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really proud moment for us.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Yeah.
And I forgot to say about how the plant's grown is one of the limits of the industry is you can't get an organic label for cannabis because there hasn't been laws written like that. But we do grow in an organic manner and don't apply any of these things. So even though we can't put anything like that on the bottles, it's the heart of what we're trying to do is to just use the best technology and the tried and true methods to get everything out of the plant. Really get a full plant extract that has the full cannabinoid profile, as well as the terpenes that give the smell to this plant and a lot of others, and the flavonoids and everything that seems to make cannabis so primary in human history for so many different uses.
Right, absolutely. And let's jump into, you mentioned some of the products that you're offering. So obviously you mentioned the CBD oil, some of the capsules, also what other products you do that are related to Bluebird as well?
So yeah, I mean, our most popular products are our oil blends. We have three main formulas: our hemp classic, our hemp complete, and our hemp signature blend. And then we make all those in a 6 times concentrated formula. So that's a really, really potent CBD oil.
Okay.
All of our ingredients are the most sustainably sourced that we can find, wild crafted, organic. And so with the and we try to keep it simple. We don't add any flavors or any chemical preservatives or anything like that. So our basic blend that is the most popular is the hemp classic. It's just 2 ingredients. It's hemp seed oil and hemp extract, and that's that whole plant hemp extract from Colorado. And then our hemp complete is a really unique product. Half of the extract is decarboxylated and half of it is raw. So you get cannabinoids like CBDA in that product, which oftentimes was considered a less active form. But people are, we're hearing amazing stories about this stuff. And we also add a little bit of steam distilled terpene extract to that. Terpenes are all the rage lately. There's endless amounts of research that we can do to figure out how those dance with the all the other components in the cannabis plant. And there's a lot of amazing stuff going on there. So the complete's really cool because you get that raw plant aspect, you get the terpenes, and then we put it in an olive oil base. And then our signature blend is a fun one too. It's the hemp extract, hemp seed oil, and then we add frankincense and a cumin seed extract, which are essential oils that have a long history of use for all sorts of things. And we feel like they interact with the cannabinoids in our blend and make, a pretty magical product.
That's great. That's terrific. And then also, Lex, I think in terms of some of the research that's going to be taking place, figuring out what works best, it's such important work as far as the education, understanding how CBD is benefiting so many. So do you want to talk a little bit around that research and what it's evolving to?
Yeah, and it's a fairly interesting spot to be at because we don't make any medical claims for these products because under the FDA, these are nutritional supplements. And so when people call asking, will this cure this and cure that? Not only can we not say anything, we never know what the answer is going to be. The most important thing we try to tell customers is with this product and cannabis in general, you're really taking, you need to take your health into your own hands. You never know exactly how it's going to work on you because everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. And the amounts and the times a day that might work for you and whether the CBD classic is good for you or the CBD acid in the complete, you really have to pay attention to yourself and see. And sometimes people don't like that answer. They want to be handed a cannabis pill and like take 2 of these and you'll be good. But because it's such a non-toxic product, people can take more. You can take up to 50 milligrams a day. That's no problem. But for a lot of elderly folks, all they need is 4 milligrams a day. And so to find that sweet spot for yourself means paying attention to yourself.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's one of the questions that get asked quite a bit as well. How much should I take? And, all the things. And you're absolutely correct. Right now under FDA guidelines, it's more of a nutritional supplement that it can be marketed as. And I always, when I see some companies out there and they're making all these different medical claims and everything, like, well, you got to be careful because, you want to ensure that people are, whether you're consulting with a doctor, before beginning any type of new diet program and all that. So I'm very happy that you said that. And then also you guys do quite a bit as far as like education and advocacy. So talk to us a little bit around what that looks like.
It's a lot of fun, actually. We really enjoy our customers here. Everyone starts off either answering the phones or in the back packing boxes. And I know I was on the road for about 5 years talking to people about their cannabis use. And I've learned more in a couple months on the phone at Bluebird than I did from all the old ladies I talked to across the country. Because they were just coming to me and saying, this is what works, this is my time, this is my method. And so I learned more from our customers than I did from, these are all cannabis science books.
Yeah, I see them all back there. Yeah.
And these don't compare. Scientists get this stuff, but really the best data about this plant, I think, is locked up in old, weed, grandma medicine makers out in the hills of California. They've seen this work on 1,000 different patients on 1,000 different ways. They can really get into the nuance of it. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the education is about the endocannabinoid system and how widespread it is in the body, but always coming back to that same point of, it's going to be different for everybody. And so I can go more into the endocannabinoid system, but that's also what I write books about. So, I can get long in the tooth about it too.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you share, if feel free to share those books for our listeners. If there's a book that you'd like to share with them, or maybe it's a current work project that you're working on.
Well, you can see it. In fact, there aren't many left. I don't have many printed copies left, but this is my elephant folio. This is a graphic novel about the structure of the first cannabinoid we've ever solved, which was CBN, which was 1941. They figured out the structure of the CBN molecule, and that is the degradation product of THC. So if you have really old weed, the reason it makes you sleepier is because it has more CBN, the THC degraded into, and CBN is the sleepy cannabinoid. And so if you have a grandmother with insomnia, it might be your old stash is the best thing that's going to help. And so it's actually all based on Moby Dick, this whole cannabinoid series, because the only way to get to the bottom of how cannabinoids interact with our cannabinoids is something as big as Moby Dick.
Right.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Just that the other education piece we do is we have a podcast here, the Greener Grass podcast.
Yeah.
And so we're interviewing a lot of people from around the cannabis world and outside that as well. Kind of anybody doing interesting stuff, I try to get on the show and hear what they have to say. But there's a lot of cool hemp stuff there for anyone's interested.
That's awesome. And what was the name of that podcast again?
The Greener Grass podcast.
Greener Grass. Okay. And is that on the company website, or how can listeners tune into that?
It is. We're just putting it to the website now. I have 20 some episodes under my belt, and it's on Libsyn right now, but we're just getting uploaded. So it's going to be on the the Bluebird website really soon with really nice graphics and yeah, taking it to the next level as well. Bigger guests and more, yeah, fun
I love
stuff.
that. So Bluebird Botanicals. So not only are you doing the wonderful products, you're doing the advocacy, the education. That is terrific. And I failed to ask this, and I always start the interview with asking this questions. In the past 2 podcasts and interviews that I did, I completely missed this question. So I need to go back to my roots a little bit. But how did you both get started in the hemp and cannabis industry?
So I was lucky. I'm so grateful that I got into this when I did. I'd been working for Whole Foods for like 7 years and was kind of getting burnt out. It's long hours, crazy hours, working at 3, 4 in the morning, and was ready to just make a leap and do something new. And I kind of felt like I was giving up on something I'd been working towards for a long time and wasn't sure. But Brandon and my best friend Dave were working here. It was a small company. We were in 2 little offices in Broomfield, cranking out as many bottles as we could. And I started working in the lab making bottles and was really excited about the opportunity, and tried to bring a lot of the stuff that I learned at Whole Foods about natural retail and how that whole thing works as far as getting into those stores. Tried to bring that to Bluebird, and also learned a lot about CBD. I learned a lot about the whole political side, the legal side, and it's just so much. But it's been really fun to just dive in and become a part of this amazing movement.
It is fun. Absolutely.
And for me, it really felt beautiful too, because it was fatherhood that brought me out to Colorado. My girlfriend was going to school out here, and then we got pregnant with little Sophia. And so she's 5 months old now. And so I moved out here, and I was already writing books about this stuff. And because of my grandmother's health issues, this was really, really important to me, because elderly health, this can be really helpful for elderly health, very helpful. And so I had been recommending Bluebird for years. When I was on the road, people would ask, well, what's a good CBD oil? I didn't know anyone at Bluebird, but they'd given a 50% off coupon to my retired nurse friend in Brooklyn. And so because she was on a fixed income, and they have a really strong discount program here. If anyone's a veteran, on disability, or low income, we have coupons for you. Feel free to apply. We try to make it as easy as we can. And so they give her a 50% coupon just because she deserved it. And so for years, I told everyone, This company's great. And then the week I got to Colorado and started my life here, they posted about looking for work. And I came in, and I haven't had a regular job in a lot of years. I was on the road doing research, and I didn't know it could be like this. They're really living it. The CEO really loves giving things away to in donations, and
awesome.
Really believes in making the world a better place. It's I feel really lucky to find the spot.
Yeah, that's terrific. It's always interesting to hear people's backgrounds and how they got started, and it's a very exciting industry to be in, especially this time. I really look at the entire hemp sector when people look at the U.S. economy and they consider, right now there's just all this with trade and tariffs and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, if we could just realize the potential that hemp could really bring a new type of industrial type revolution to the United States, and U.S. could become like the world's greatest exporter and produce all these wonderful, hemp goods. I mean, the opportunities are literally endless. And not only that, but all the auxiliary businesses, whether it's security or advertising or marketing, it's just amazing the financial impact that our industry could bring to the country.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just common sense. And I think that's why we've been able to get, typically very conservative people like Mitch McConnell to support this, because it's common sense to everyone. And it does fit with the Republican agenda of, less reliance on foreign sourcing, creating jobs in this country, and, helping out those struggling rural agricultural communities. And so, it makes sense for them. It makes sense for everybody. It's silly that we've gone this long with hemp being viewed as something that could be illicit when it could do so much good for our country and for the earth.
And just a little visual to go with that. Hopefully a lot of your listeners already know, but the Emperor Wears No Clothes, Jack Herrera's book, this was what really started the hemp revolution. He went together, he made a collage of the history of hemp in the world and in this country, and put together such a incredible document that it started this hemp revolution of people realizing there's thousands of uses for this plant, and there's a long documented history of this. And it's great to see places like Kentucky getting really excited to go back to the roots of producing hemp products for all kinds of uses.
Right, absolutely. And like even in the state where I live, there's a great tourist attraction here where a lot of families go to for all these great events, and it's called Prairie. And when you actually look at the history of Prairie, several decades ago, it was actually owned by Eli Lilly, which you guys know it's a pretty big pharmaceutical company. The farming portion of Prairie, they actually used to grow hemp.
Wow.
Back in the history of it. So I always like, being from the Midwest and everything, I always like to tell that story, because those that are a little bit skeptical, and there's still so much stereotyping in our industry, right? Everyone still is like, oh, people are doing it just to get, high and all that. Well, it's like there's a lot of other great things that are going on with it. So I always like to tell that story, because then when you say that name, it's like, well, the Lilly family had a hemp farm at one point. At one time, every farmer was required to grow it, here in the United States back in the colonial days. So hemp has a huge history in the States, and I'm glad to see that it looks like it's coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Kevin and Lex, what else would you like our listeners to learn about your company? Any projects? Are there anything else going on that you'd like to share with our listeners, please?
Yeah, so I tell everybody to keep an eye out for us in natural retail stores. We did just roll out in all the Lucky stores nationwide. That's 30 stores, and they're partially owned by Kroger. And we hope to become a staple in natural retail stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods in the next few years. We're going to be launching a great line of topical products that should be out in the next few months. And then also keep an eye out, because we're going to hear some great news, we think, in the next, maybe 90 days tops, when House Senate conference meets on this final version of the Farm Bill. And we also want everybody to make sure that they're reaching out to all their representatives and letting them know that they support, hemp. They want that Hemp Farming Act language in the Farm Bill. We have a little bit further to go here. You can always go to hempsupporter.com. That's the U.S. Hemp Roundtable site. And you can reach out to your representatives there. Let them know that you support hemp, and that we want to see this thing move through the final version of the Farm Bill. Hopefully it'll happen in the next month or two. So
absolutely.
And the thing I'd like people to know about Bluebird is you can feel free to give us a call. If anybody has questions about CBD, it's not a high pressure sales kind of place at all. We give people pats on the backs when they're on the phone with elderly customers for 40 minutes or an hour answering their questions. We have a really caring, dedicated team of people answering the phones. We do a lot of training so they make sure they really know what they're talking about. Right. And if they feel unsure, they send calls over to me or someone else that can help more. And we'll do the best we can to answer your questions with all the science that we have. That being said, you still will be the best judge. We'll do everything we can to help you get there.
That's great. That's great. And then if one of you could please share your website, your social handles, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, if you guys could plug your company information, that'd be great for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is bluebirdbotanicals.com. And our Facebook is we're at Bluebird Botanicals. You can find us on there pretty easily. And then Bluebird Botanicals on Instagram as well, and Twitter. So yeah.
Awesome. And then soon your podcast will be on your website. So I'll have to go back and listen to those. I love listening. I'm driving the car. Half the time I'm listening to a podcast of some sort. So I will definitely tune into that as well.
Yeah, it's great. Lex does a really good job with it, and there's a lot of really fun stuff. So
awesome. Very cool. Lex, Kevin, thank you so much. Lex and Kevin with Bluebird Botanicals, thank you so much both for being with me today. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, Rogue 420 fans, thank you for listening in. Please make sure to like, please make sure to subscribe, and then also to share this podcast. And again, it's just a very interesting time. It's a great industry to be in. So if the last few years of economic times have been difficult on you, your family, and you're looking for a wonderful industry to jump into for your state, it's a great consideration. So I want to thank everyone for listening in. This is CJ delivering another edition of Rogue 420 Interviews. Take care, everyone, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, CJ.